think we'll pull them through this. The other two, you know, they've been around a little bit, but they've not had the experience of playing good top players all the time. And as I said, both of these have played in the World Championships, and I think they should win this quite easily.
Poland represented by Krzysztof Chuk and Krzysztof Raciacki. Your commentary team, Stuart Pike and Dave Lanning.
Yes, and the landscape in County Durham looks like something more suited to Captain Scott's or Ernest Shackleton's expedition. But inside here we have the darters who can bring thunder to the tundra. Stuart Pipe, and we've seen the haka performed by our New Zealand friends here. And these are the little known Poles who I think may find the going a little hot. That was an impressive haka. Maybe that will inspire the Scots to do the Highland Fling.
Well, I'm not sure Gary Anderson and Robert Thornton will be quite ready for that later on, but we shall see. But yeah, the darting first, great to see Philip Hazel, a proud Kiwi, leading the haka on the stage with Warren Parry. And here is Krzysztof Chuk, who appeared at the Alexandra Palace at the World Championship. His partner, Krzysztof Radziecki. And yeah, a big ask. I think if the Poles were to win this, it would be a major surprise. The winners will take on Wales a little later on. Mark Webster and Barry Bates in the second round tonight.
This is Krzysztof Radziecki from Kamienia, which for all geographic students will know is midway between Krakow and Warsaw, going south in Poland. And he was telling us that he really just plays at home. They haven't got bars or pubs in Poland where they can play darts. But they're coming through. The Poles have emerged in other sports and have made an impact. And who's to say that these guys won't be trailblazers for their nation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 100. A lot of soft tip darts in Poland, particularly in Krakow and in Warsaw. And well, he's splitting it. Go for double 16 now, double 8.
30.
Well, maybe a chance here for the Poles. Here is Radziecki to pinch the first leg.
Treble 19 would leave him 40 double top. Certainly seems to know where 76. The trebles are, but now it is Philip Hazel, experienced 55. They call him the sniper. Can he beat a marksman here? Getting closer, Stuart.
Well, not good enough. 5 missed darts and a double from the New Zealand pair, and here a chance for Chuk to steal the opening leg for the Poles, and he does. Well, how important could that prove to be?
New Zealand
it really would be a major upset if Poland were to beat New Zealand here. It's a long way home, isn't it? It's a long way to come for possibly a maximum of 11 legs of darts, but New Zealand
100
not that impressive on the finishing, Dave.
No, they had 5 darts at a double to win the first leg. We remind you, it's the first to 6 best of 11 in this format, these opening rounds. Fascinating. Some new nations, some fresh faces on the big time dart scene. You might say that we have the big fish
93
and we have a few tiddlers in here, but you know, Stuart, a piranha fish is only a tiddler, but that packs a bit of a nip.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, they're very much in its infancy, isn't it, darts in 100. Poland. As we say, Krakow and Warsaw, the main areas where it's played. A lot of soft tip darts, very, very popular over in Poland, but it's small steps, isn't it, on the world darting ladder. And Chuk here, as we said, played in the World Championships at the Ali Pali last year, but suffered from big match nerves. Was disappointing to lose to Japan's Muramatsu in that preliminary round. But for me here, the Poles look as if they're enjoying it. The Kiwis playing as if they are under a lot of pressure. They're under increasing pressure with each throw.
82.
That's a very solid opening throw. Krzysztof Radziecki.
100.
And you have to remember, of course, the New Zealanders, who have a good tradition in darts, have missed their doubles early on, and they really will be looking here to get back on terms, to settle them down.
82. Pauline, you require
Good last dart.
120.
But, what can Chuck do here? That was unlucky. That was a good dart. Needs the treble, of course. So the New Zealanders
60.
will get a chance here.
New Zealand require 84.
Can't afford to lose this leg, I don't think.
Warren Parry with the darts. 18 bull. It wasn't the best shot in the world there. 18 bull. It would be a fancy finish.
47.
Well, we saw Austria win on the ball
Poland, you require 60.
in their match against Denmark, but here Radziecki needs double 10 for 2-0.
On the second leg.
New Zealand in all sorts of
New
trouble
Zealand
here.
to
Big favourites to win this game,
Game on.
but impressive shooting from the Polish pair.
60.
Good dart from Chuck again. Yep, first ever
100.
PDC Cash Converters World Cup of Darts here in the northeast. We've already seen Belgium and Austria go through. Saw a brilliant 1-6-1 finish, didn't we, from Mike Langendorf
85.
for Austria, as they came from 3-0 down to beat the Danes. Pretty impressive standard, I have to say, early doors. I mean, of course, these are the weaker nations, but you know, we've seen them, all the teams averaging around 85 or
100.
so in the opening stages, which is okay, decent standard.
Philip Hazel, 55 years old, now resident in Sydney.
140.
Used to live in Napier in New Zealand.
Very, very famous big town Napier, Art Deco.
95.
Poles have looked solid, but then again, in most sporting spheres, the Poles are pretty solid citizens. Going well. This is Parry. Comes from a place called Ray Bush.
125.
This is on the South Island. It's right down the bottom of it, as I recall. He was telling us that it's cold here, -9, but it gets pretty cold down where they come from, because there's nothing much between him and Antarctica.
85. New Zealand require 91.
But a leg that New Zealand really do have to win. Hazel needs tops. Much better
To New
from
Zealand.
New Zealand. That will settle the nerves. Philip Hazel. Hazel actually arrived in the country a week or so ago, played a couple of Players' Championship events in Derby last weekend. His partner in crime, Warren
100.
Parry, actually flew in a couple of days ago to Newcastle, and his plane had to circle for 2.5 hours before it was allowed to land because of all the bad weather.
And the New Zealanders are now beginning
100.
to make their experience come through and showing a bit of style. It was a good finish. And the Poles, who roared into an early 2-zip lead, now find themselves under a little bit of pressure.
45.
Oh, the World Cup of Darts. Of course, everybody interested in the Ashes at the moment, Dave. I had a message on Twitter from, would you believe, Jimmy Anderson
60.
Earlier today. Hero with 4 wickets in Australia's first innings. Wanted to know how he could keep in touch with the Arrows. Loves his darts. So he'll be
60.
he'll be keeping in touch using his laptop with all the results from the World Cup of Darts here in the northeast.
So much easier for you to keep in touch with us out there watching on Sky.
80.
The weather may be frightening, but the darts are still inviting.
I mean, just mentioning Anderson, a lot of the England players love the darts. Graham Swan, Alistair Cook, who's regular at the Ali Pali, when he
60.
can. England tours permitting. Of course, Freddie Flintoff, Steve Harmison, they love them. Love the arrows, the England cricketers.
Yes, I remember Graham
45.
Gooch, former England captain, once beat Eric Bristow. I seem to recollect only over 101, and I think Eric was playing to the gallery.
Eric playing to the gallery? I don't believe that.
55.
This match is delicately poised again. The New Zealanders, who we had anticipated would dominate, having things their own way, but this is style and class from Philip Hazel.
123.
Unlucky he was there, but yeah, just beginning to settle down to the task, you think, here, the New Zealanders, after going 2 down, obviously suffering from a few nerves.
60. New
93
Zealand
the
require
shots.
93.
19 should be the target. Then 86 now. 18 should be the target. Double 16 to level the match.
Games on the 40.
That's much better.
To New Zealand.
2-0 down, and they've won the last two legs with finishes of 91 and 93. New Zealand may be beginning to stamp their authority. Let's see what Messrs Chuck and
100.
Radajski have to offer in this leg. Of course, starting first, the rules of the event. The loser of the previous leg throws first in the next leg.
Yes, that's an interesting innovation, I think, Stuart, and it does
40.
give a different impetus and emphasis to the game. PDC always ready to... what happened here? Oh, hit the dart and somersaulted. Now, the PDC always ready to sniff around, try to
140.
just polish up the game, give it a different angle, give it a different focus.
Also puts a little bit more pressure, I think, on the players, a bit more onus on
61.
them to perform when they are throwing first. But as we saw in the last match with Austria 3-0 down, you know, the fact that they can throw first in the next leg will help.
32.
And then they put pressure on the Danes, and all that pressurising your opponents, especially over this short distance. First to 6.
140.
But Hazel certainly been the best player in this match so far, the Kiwi. Radajski, he's been pretty impressive as well, hasn't he? He's been finding the treble 20 consistently throughout this game.
That's true, and such is the infancy of the game in Poland. He was telling us that
60.
don't get a lot of the chance to
Poland
weigh up
require
different darts, but he
89.
made his own darts, and as I say, he has to play at home to gain some experience now. Shot here. Went this way, yes, I think. Did he really want to leave the ball?
57.
Well, he looked across, saw that the New Zealanders couldn't finish, so he's thinking about the game, Shook.
Well, Hazel playing in Australia on the DPA circuit,
100.
doing rather well.
Poland require
All
32.
in the action plan to get back to the Alexandra Palace for the World Championships next year. Well, now double 9 he's going to have to come across. It's a bit of an adjustment for the pole.
23.
That might be
New Zealand, you require
a
100.
critical miss as Parry. He's had 2 big finishes, the New Zealanders, not this time. And the Poles will be back
60.
looking at
Poland, you require
144.
9.
Christoph Schuck is the man. Now 4, and he just sneaked in. The marker looks useful.
1 score.
Well, great start
New
for
Zealand, you
the
require
Polish
40.
pair. But not now. Oh, it's Paul Badley. Double 10 then for Hazel. As the Kiwis move ahead for the first time in this contest.
6
3
men.
consecutive
Poland
legs
to
from 2-0 down.
Yes, they were
Game
2-0
on.
down, but you could say the Kiwis have pole vaulted into the lead. But it equally has to be said, only because they've missed some doubles.
81.
this then. Philip Hazel, 55, experienced New Zealand player. The New Zealand nation, in fact, some years ago, in the older version of the World Cup, in fact, staged a World Cup final in Nelson, I recall. And Eric Bristow was there with the England side, I recall. And
40.
I also remember the World Cups, when you have these lesser nations, Stuart, do have the happy incidents of throwing up unknown players. They come, who will come through here and make an impact on the World Series? Because in New
95.
Zealand, I remember the man who came through was representing Papua New Guinea, and his name was Paul Lim Long Hu. And you remember Paul Lim then came across into our big time scene and was the second man to do a 9-dart finish on live television, well, not on live television, but on network television. And then went on to play for the Americans and is still around. We've seen him in our competitions. So we wonder, as we look down these nations we don't normally see on the big stage, is there going to be a future world champion? If the Poles could produce somebody to match the best players in the world on the stage, it would absolutely cause an explosion of interest down there in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right that we're going to one or two names that people won't recognise, don't recognise, and have players that they've never seen before, but some reputations will be made over the next couple of days, no doubt.
Kiwis flexing their muscles now. Down at a finish. Yeah, 132, might go double ball, double 16 here. That's been the fashionable way to finish on this shot. Now treble 19 would leave the ball. 88 now the shot. Which way will he go? The Poles can't finish on 202. Leaves tops, and that is a very useful contribution.
Yeah, Hazel has been impressive. He missed those darts at doubles in the opening leg, but since then, he's certainly been the dominant player in this match so far. And he's left his teammate Parry with 3 clean darts at tops to win a 4th consecutive leg. Well, after the opening couple of legs with Poland won, we thought that maybe, just maybe, a bit of an upset here. Not now. Yeah, still to come. Russia with Anastasia, of course, and Sweden, Magnus Carus, one of the best players from Europe over the last decade or so, couple of decades.
100.
Magnus Carus has played at several World Championships. Spain, Rodriguez and Antonio Alcinas. Alcinas has been drawn to play James Wade at the World Championship. Live on Sky, of course, from December the 16th, and then the Republic of Ireland, young William O'Connor. He's a name that's emerged in 2010 on the PDC Tour.
Yes. Useful 3 darts from Ratasci.
95.
Just before the last throw, and the Poles will need to dig deep. 2 up,
60.
Lost 4 on the spin now. I seem to recollect, Stuart, when we did a World Cup finals in New Zealand, one of the New Zealand players made a great reputation for himself by opening beer bottles with his teeth. And I was talking to these two and said, do you remember this guy? And they said, everybody opens the beer bottles with their teeth in New Zealand.
$85. Poland require 141.
The Polish pair really need to win. That's a great first start from Chuck. Treble 19.
Oh, he's a long way away.
109.
They're useful darts, leaving.
New Zealand require 121.
See, double 16, and now Philip Hazel really needs this.
$85. Poland require 32.
So double 16 for Radowski here. Double 8. Now the pressure's on. The Kiwis are sat on 36.
16 score.
Too many misses from the Poles. Could be a 5th consecutive leg here for New Zealand.
Good marker, useful, got to use it. Sneaked in the corner, but it's in the target, and it's 5-2 to the Kiwis.
That's like the perfect penalty in a shootout, wasn't it? Right in the corner from Parry. But from 2-0 down, New Zealand now just need one leg
55.
to go through to the second round tonight, and a clash against the Welsh.
And the Poles have missed too many doubles, haven't they? 15% success rate against 31% from the New Zealanders, and that's told the story, really. But they have by no means disgraced themselves, and this guy, yeah, really has a very authoritative throw, hasn't he? Very, very confident.
100.
Just a thought, you know, Stuart, if the New Zealanders go through, which is looking increasingly likely, they will then meet Wales, and that's is a classic sporting
100.
confrontation on other fields of endeavour, is it not? With the rugby, of course, ancient rivalries.
Yeah, and in the other code, in rugby league, New Zealand, the dominant force in World Rugby League at the minute, having just beaten Australia in the Four Nations. The Kiwis won the World Cup as well, and here in the World Cup of Darts, after a dodgy start, making an impression. 2-0 down, and looking to wrap it up in
100.
this leg.
Yes, they pushed their average up into the mid-80s, and that's 10 points better than the Poles. The Poles, just you get the feeling, are still on a learning curve. They don't play at this kind of level
55.
very often, but they're emerging, and they're keen.
Well, New Zealand ranked 13th
26.
in this tournament. Good last start again. Scoring hasn't been too bad. It's the finishing under pressure which has let the Poles down.
2 out of 13, simply not good enough. And with the finish, 90 now left. Interesting shot, very, very interesting. In fact, it's a brilliant shot because it's left his partner on a double, and it's double 18, and this gentleman from Poland knows he's got to go out here on 146.
Well, Philip Hazel has been the outstanding performer in this match for New Zealand after they went 2-0 down. He set it up beautifully here
96.
for his partner Warren Parry to win the match.
36.
Well, and it's one dart, and in the end, a convincing victory for New Zealand, and they will be seeing that war dance again.